What is up, cheesy gamers? Congratulations on defeating the Fire Giant, the biggest ultimate frisbee bro with the worst case of acid reflux you've ever seen. But now it's time for the all-important question. Where should I go next? Now I've got a few answers for you here. So answer number one is, you should proceed up this chain towards the top of this giant cup of noodle here. There will be a bonfire somewhere along the rim where you can speak to your maiden, and that dialogue will get you to one of the next big areas of the game that will have a couple of good bosses for you to fight. Oh man, we're there. They are not holding any punches anymore, guys. They're not. They really aren't. Speaking of bosses that don't hold any punches, it's about this time that you should be looking for both halves of the Haligtree medallion. If you haven't picked up the first one yet, it is somewhere over here in the bottom left corner of Liurnia. There's a cave where you can find the first half. And the second half you'll find in Castle Sol up here towards the top of the area that we unlocked after defeating Morgott the Fell Omen. Now, once you've collected both halves of the medallion, you'll want to start exploring this area here called the Consecrated Snowfield. I will say this area is technically totally optional, but if you want to fight one of the hardest bosses in all of From Souls, you're going to want to head to the top of this town right here, which will lead you into a new area once you solve its puzzle. I mentioned this in my previous video as well, but definitely if you haven't completed your quest line with Vare, the guy who calls you maidenless at the beginning of the game, there's a secret area that he unlocks that has not only an abundance of runes, but some important upgrade items for anyone wanting to get their somber smithing stone weapons to +10 on this little isle here that you unlock by completing his questline. If you've already talked to him at the beginning of the game, find him again over here at the Rose Church in Liurnia, also kind of nearby where you find the medallion, and he'll pretty much tell you what to do next. There's another secret area hidden beneath Lane Dell. You may have picked up on that if you watched some of the NPC dialogue from my last video. But there's some important NPCs down there, some items, things like that. You'll want to check that out. Not a particularly fun area, but another area to explore nonetheless. As we're reaching the end of the game, we're also starting to reach the end of my video series here. I know I'm going to put together a video on where to go after the boss that is located in the area that you warp out to out of the Forge of the Giants. I'm also considering putting out a video on where to go after you beat the final boss of the game, covering things that you should do before going into New Game Plus. But if that's something you want to see, let me know in the comments, because I know there is a lot of channels covering that already. But I'm sure some of you might enjoy my less than walkthrough approach. As always, if you're interested in seeing more of Mr. Cheese, you can check me out on twitch.tv/getcheddar. I'm about to start my Rune Level 1 run, and I'm super excited. Soul Level 1 Dark Souls 3 was one of my favorite gaming experiences from last year. So it should be a pretty fun time watching me run my face into several bosses over and over and over again. Just kidding. It actually should be a little easier in Elden Ring. There are quite a few OP weapons, and you can get Somber Stone +10 almost right from the beginning. So check that out if you're interested. And until then, stay cheesy, y'all.